It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. A graduate of Amherst College, Yale School of Law, and Yale Divinity School, where he received a master's in ethics, Senator Coons started his political career serving as a county executive in Delaware. In 2010, he was elected to the United States Senate. Currently, Senator Coons serves on the Foreign Relations, Judiciary, Energy and Natural Resources, and Budget committees. Senator Coons has been a strong proponent of ARPA-E, as well as the development of new energy technologies to ensure that America remains competitive and is committed to fulfilling the economic potential of American innovation. It is my pleasure to welcome Senator Chris Coons.
Well, thank you, Dr. Martin, for that introduction, and thank you for the opportunity, the privilege, to once again join ARPA-E's Energy Innovation Summit. Last year, I had a chance to meet with many of you before and afterwards, to walk through the showcase, to listen to innovators, and to, frankly, get some of the excitement of this annual conference, and it gave me a lift that lasted for weeks. In his keynote address last year, in something that left an impression with me, FedEx CEO Fred Smith called ARPA-E the best government-funded program he had ever seen. And at a time when few of us in Washington seem to be able to come to bipartisan agreement on which investments are worth sustaining and which investments are valuable and game-changing, that sent me home from last year's conference with a sense of optimism and hope that we could come to agreement around the value and importance both of what you're doing more broadly and what ARPA-E is making possible. In my view, it has never been more important for us to prioritize investments in innovation, and in particular, to lift up and to strengthen what ARPA-E is capable of doing. And in my view, this is in keeping with America's greatest traditions. That's because America has always been driven forward by new ideas, by an appetite for risk, by a stubborn insistence that we can find a better way even where others do not. And our innovations don't just matter here in the United States. As you know all too well, they matter in every city and town. They matter in every village, in every corner of the world. I literally just last night returned from a week-long trip across the continent of Africa, where there is a critical, crying need for clean, renewable energy and for power innovation in more advanced countries such as South Africa to some of the most challenged but resource-rich countries like the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I am hopeful, I am confident that American innovation will help meet these challenges and more, including essential human needs like food security. Delaware's own DuPont is a leader in both these fields. Long a leader in solar materials, in advanced biofuels research, but also through DuPont Pioneer, a leader in applying scientific advances to saving lives and strengthening economies with drought-resistant and vitamin-enriched crops. In the past, the present, and the future, the world will be a very different place because of American innovation. So we have a big responsibility and a bigger opportunity. And innovation in the energy sector in particular is of unique importance to our economy, to our national security, to the sustainability of our way of life and our planet. Those are three things that I don't take lightly. That's why no matter how tight federal budgets may become, no matter how difficult the times politically, I will continue to fight for full funding of ARPA-E and for robust investment in scientific research and innovation in this country. Please. Your ideas, your hard work, your innovation has the power to transform the way the world uses energy. But this isn't just about some far-off vision of the future. This is about what's happening right now. As of December, ARPA-E has funded 285 projects since it was created in 2009. In just a few years, 11 of the companies funded with $40 million federal dollars have attracted $200 million in combined private investment. That's the sort of leverage I like to see on federal investment. What you've done and what you will do is to change the game. You've made it smart and sustainable to bet on clean energy and on a clean energy future for this country and our economy. And I'm grateful to you for that important work. Less than a decade ago, as many of you know, ARPA-E was just an idea on a piece of paper. It was one of the legislative proposals that resulted from the National Academy of the Sciences Rising Above the Gathering Storm report that was produced by a gathering of eminent scientists, educators, industrialists, and more, which included Dr. Stephen Chu. It was a wake-up call on the state of science and science education in this country, and I still remember reading it when I was in private industry and being challenged and called to action and engagement by that report. Their ideas spurred action to keep America competitive and to promote investments in innovation, and that spirit of innovation has been a hallmark of Dr. Chu's tenure as Secretary of Energy. He created innovation hubs and energy frontier research centers, including, of course, one at the University of Delaware, things that have fueled patentable new ideas, deployable new ideas, from advanced battery technology to solid-state lighting. During Secretary Chu's tenure, the Department of Energy has helped 1 million Americans weatherize their homes and has made investments that have doubled the production of wind and solar energy in this country. His commitment to science and to innovation, to research and development, to a clean energy future for the United States is unparalleled. And I wanted to just take the prerogative of the podium for a moment at the outset of my remarks and personally thank Secretary Chu for his remarkable service to our nation. Now, if I might, a brief update from Congress. The best way we can honor this legacy is to build on the progress that's already been achieved. ARPA-E, in my view, is an unquestionable success. Yet the legislation that authorizes it, that creates it, expires this year. The America Competes Act, forward-looking, powerful legislation so ably authored and then reauthorized by leaders like former Chairman Jeff Bingaman of New Mexico and Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, must be reauthorized again. And I am committed to working closely with a group of bipartisan colleagues, especially Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, to reintroduce the section of the America Competes Act for DOE programs, specifically including ARPA-E. We will be working closely with our colleagues on the Senate Commerce and Help Committees to ensure that they introduce complementary bills and that together we move this legislation through the Senate. This is an opportunity for truly bipartisan legislation, a rare bird in the Senate these days, but one that is not yet extinct, in which I hope in partnership we can help give wing to the future of ARPA-E. So in addition to that sort of bipartisanship, the work on reauthorizing ARPA-E and so many other important elements of the America Competes Act, I've also had a real and, to me, inspiring opportunity to work with Republican colleagues, and I'll call out in particular Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas, a real Republican, and I'm a real Democrat. But we've been able to find something we can partner on around clean energy financing. Now, that's not a sentence you expect to hear much in today's Congress. We are lead co-sponsors on a bill to level the playing field for clean energy projects by giving them access to a beneficial tax structure known as master limited partnerships. My leadership in this bill, my engagement in this bill, in part came from hours spent presiding over the Senate as a freshman, listening to speeches about how we shouldn't pick winners and losers and how we should have an all-of-the-above energy strategy. And I think the Master Limited Partnership Parity Act accomplishes both of those goals and has the possibility to deliver a sustainable financing mechanism for alternative or clean energy projects. MLPs are business structures that are taxed as a partnership, but whose ownership interests are traded like corporate stock on a market. This gives them fundraising advantages comparable to a corporation. Until now, MLPs by statute have been only available to investors in energy sectors like oil, coal, natural gas, and pipelines. Senator Moran and I believe in MLP parity. So our bill, which we will soon reintroduce with a broad range of bipartisan co-sponsors, gives renewable energy power and biofuels projects that same benefit. With this one tweak to the tax code, we can unleash significant opportunity to put private capital into the clean energy market. In my view, this is a market-driven solution to sustainable financing that should continue alongside existing tax incentives like the PTC and ITC. It should not be seen as a replacement for them, but a complement to them. In my view, we in Congress have to do a better job to help you, those of you who take the risks and who provide the financing, those of you who do the innovation and the hard work, to ensure that we've got market certainty. Short-term extensions that are subject to the vagaries of Washington that come and go 1 year at a time are no way to build a sustainable market. The same thing is true. Yes, that'll get a round of applause. In the global race to create the clean energy economy of today, we have to provide more predictable, more sustainable policy and financing vehicles, and I look forward to working with many of you on that in this Congress and the future. The same is true of our economy as a whole. As we in Congress continue to lurch from one budget crisis to another, our failure to make the tough choices that will reduce our deficit in a thoughtful, responsible way has real consequences, not least of which is the sequester, looming this week, which will take effect just a few days from now. The problem with across-the-board cuts, such as the sequester will impose, is they fail to take into account which programs are wise investments, which ones create ideas that grow our economy, that create jobs, and help us stay ahead of global competitors. ARPA-E is, without a doubt, one of those programs. And there's a direct link between funding innovation and fueling economic growth. If we sever that link with deep and dangerous funding cuts, we're making a self-defeating mistake. So I will continue to be your voice, your champion, in insisting that we sustain investment in innovation and in research. I just want to close this portion before I introduce someone by thanking the leaders of the Department of Energy and ARPA-E, the scientists and researchers, the idea generators, the risk takers, the financiers, and the innovators gathered here today. You are inventing and deploying the energy equivalent of the integrated circuit, of Kevlar, of barcodes, and GPS, American-led game changers, innovations that have truly remade the world. You do this because you know in your gut that there will be a clean energy economy in this country, as there is around the world, that will power a generation of great jobs, that will fuel growth and strengthen our economy, that will keep us safe and prevent new conflicts, that will protect the precious planet on which we live and make a more sustainable future for our children and grandchildren. Thank you for your willingness to keep innovating, to keep working in this important field, even with uncertain budgets, even with uncertain and difficult times. We are depending on you, and we know you won't let us down. You'll hear more about the difficult budget environment and the importance of investing in innovation from your other congressional speakers, Senators Murkowski, Alexander, and Wyden, tomorrow.